Hello my dear students, this is grade 6 mathematics, lesson number 13, decimals part 2. I am teacher Ruwani Vithanage from Sapagaskanda Mahavidyalaya, Makula. By studying this lesson, you will be able to compare decimal numbers and you will be able to add and subtract decimal numbers with 2 decimal places. There are 2 ways to compare decimal numbers. First way by using fractions and the second way by using the place value of a decimal number. Now let's learn how to compare decimal numbers using fractions. Let's compare 0.1 and 0.3. When you take those two numbers 0.1 and 0.3, we can write them as fractions in this way. 0.1 is 1 over 10 and 0.3 is 3 over 10. If you draw two figures to represent 1 over 10 and 3 over 10, these colored parts represent 1 over 10 and 3 over 10. And we can see that the portion that represent 3 over 10 is bigger than the portion that represent 1 over 10. Therefore, we can say that 1 over 10 is smaller than 3 over 10. That means 0.1 is less than 0.3. And now let's compare 0.3 and 0.32. When you write those two decimal numbers as fractions, they are 3 over 10 and 32 over 100. When you write 3 over 10 with the denominator 100, it will be 30 over 100. And 30 over 100 is same as 3 over 10. This is the colored portion. And 32 over 100 can be represented in this way using a figure. And here we can see that 32 over 100 is bigger than 30 over 100. Therefore, we can put this inequality symbol to represent that. That is, 30 over 100 is less than 32 over 100. Therefore, we can say that 0.30 is less than 0.32. Now let's compare 0.3 and 0.30. When you write those two decimal numbers as fractions, it is 3 over 10 and 30 over 100. 3 over 10, when you written with denominator 100, it will be 30 over 100. And now you can see that both fractions are equal to 30 over 100. That means they are equal in size. Therefore, we can put equation mark when comparing these two decimal numbers. That is, 0.30 is equal to 0.30. Now let's see how to compare decimal numbers using the place value of a decimal number. First, by the whole number. First, we must look at the whole number part of the two decimal numbers. And then we need to see the digit in the first decimal place and we have to compare that. And finally, we can compare the digit in the second decimal place. Now let's see more about this. When you compare two decimal numbers by the whole number, if the whole number part of two decimal numbers are different, then the number with the largest whole number part is the bigger number. For example, when you consider 5.72 and 4.31 and 50.02 and 40.37, you can see that 5 of the first two decimal numbers is bigger than 4. The whole number part 5 is bigger than the whole number part 4. That means 5.72 is greater than 4.31. In the second two decimal numbers, 50 is bigger than 40. 50 and 40 are the whole number parts, and 50 is bigger than 40. Therefore, we can say that 50.02 is greater than 40.37. Now let's see how to compare two decimal numbers by the digit in the first decimal place. Here we compare the digit in the first decimal place if the whole number parts of the decimal numbers are equal. If they are equal, then the number with the largest digit in the first decimal place is the biggest number. Let's do an example to identify this. We have two decimal numbers 5.72 and 5.31. And also we have 5.02 and 5.37. When you consider the first pair of decimal numbers, we can see that the whole number parts are both 5. Therefore, we need to compare the first decimal place of those two decimal numbers. The first decimal place of 5.72 is 7 and the first decimal place of 5.31 is 3. And we know that 7 is greater than 3. Therefore, we say that 5.72 is greater than 5.31. And similarly, we can see that since 5 are the numbers in the whole number part of the second pair of decimal numbers, 0 and 3 are the numbers at the first decimal place of those two decimal numbers. And you can easily see that 3 is bigger than 0. Therefore, we say that 5.02 is less than 5.37. Now let's see how to compare two decimal numbers by the digit in the second decimal place. We compare the second decimal place only if the whole number part and also the digit in the first decimal place of two decimal numbers are equal. Then the number with the largest second decimal place value is the biggest decimal number. We have a pair of decimal numbers 5.72 and 5.71. And also we have another pair of decimal numbers 10.52 and 10.57. When you compare the first pair, we can see that whole number and the first decimal place are equal in both decimal numbers. Therefore, we compare the second decimal place of those two decimal numbers. The second decimal place values are 2 and 1. And we know that 2 is bigger than 1. Therefore, we can say that 5.72 is greater than 5.71. Similarly, When you compare the next pair of decimal numbers, we can see that whole number part of those two decimal numbers are 10 and the first decimal place value of both numbers are 5. Then we have to compare the second decimal place value, that is 2 and 7. And we know that 7 is bigger than 2, therefore 10.52 is smaller than 10.57. Now let's do a small activity to identify the largest decimal number. First one is 1.53 and 2.98. Here we can see that 1 is the whole number part and the other whole number part is 2. And in these two decimal numbers, 2 is the largest decimal number. With the largest whole number part, it is 2.98. Therefore, the largest decimal is 2.98. When you compare the second pair of decimal numbers, we can see that first whole number part are equal in both decimal numbers. Therefore, you have to compare the first decimal place of those decimal numbers. And we see that 4 is bigger than 0. Therefore, the largest decimal number is 2.45. When you compare the third pair of decimal numbers, you can see that whole number part is 4 and the first decimal place is 7 in both numbers. Therefore, let's compare the third digit, that means the second decimal place value. They are 3 and 8. We know that 8 is bigger than 3, therefore the largest decimal number is 4.78. Now let's see how to add decimal numbers. We have to add 0.2 and 0.1. When 0.2 is written as a fraction, it is 2 over 10. And 2 over 10 can be represented in a diagram in this way. 2 parts out of 10 equal parts. Similarly, when 0.1 is written as a fraction, it is 1 over 10. And when it is represented in yellow color, it is 1 part out of 10 equal parts. Now we can see that altogether the total number of colored parts are 3 out of 10. Therefore, it is 3 over 10. That means it is equal to 0.3. That is 0.2 plus 0.1 when added is equal to 0.3. Now let's learn how to add 0.7 and 0.5 by writing the values. First we write 0.7 plus 0.5. We must write the two numbers in this way. And then we have to add 7 and 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. We put 2 here and 1 is remaining. We bring that 1 to the ones place of the number and we add it with 2 zeros. 1 plus 0 is 1. And the decimal point is kept at the same place. So the answer is 1.2. Then let's add 3.17 and 2.95. We can write the two numbers in this way. When adding these two numbers, we first add 7 and 5. That means the numbers in the second decimal place. 7 plus 5 is 12. We put 2 and 1 is remaining. We bring that 1 to the first decimal place. And when the first decimal place numbers are added, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 9 is 11. We put 1 and 1 is remaining. That remaining 1 goes to the ones place. Then when the ones place numbers are added, 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. Then the decimal point is kept at the same place. Therefore, the answer is 6.12. Then let's add 53.57 and 22.95. Let's write the numbers in this way. And when adding this, we need to add 7 and 5 first. 7 plus 5 is 12. 1 remaining. We bring that 1 to the first decimal place, and when the first decimal place digits are added, it is 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 plus 9 is 15. We put 5 and 1 is remaining. When that 1 goes to the ones place, we add ones place numbers. 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. We put 6 there, no remainder. Then we add the numbers in the tens place. 5 plus 2 is 7. And the decimal point is kept at the same place. So, the value is 76.52. When adding decimal numbers, there is an important thing to remember. That is, when adding decimal numbers, it is compulsory to write the decimal point of the numbers straightly downwards. When adding decimal numbers, it is compulsory to write the decimal point of the numbers straightly downwards. Let's do an example to understand further about this. We are going to add 53.57 and 2.9. When adding these two decimal numbers, we can write 53.57 and 2.9 in this way. Here you can see that first decimal place of the two numbers are 5 and 9. So, those numbers are written straightly downwards. And similarly, the decimal point is also written straightly downwards, and the digits in the ones place are also written straightly downwards. Let's add this now. Digits at the second decimal place of these numbers are 7 only. Then we write 7 as the answer for the second decimal place digit. And then we add 5 and 9, the digits in the first decimal place. 5 plus 9 is 14. We put 4 and 1 is the remainder. Then we bring that 1 to the ones place. Then 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6. Then we write the tens place digit. It is 5. And the decimal point is kept at the same place. Therefore, the answer is 56.47. Answer is 56.47. Let's do a question at the decimal numbers given below. First one, 0.5 plus 0.3. When adding, we first add the digit in the first decimal place. 5 plus 3 is 8 and the decimal point is kept at the same position. 0 plus 0 is 0. Answer is 0.8. Second one, 0.58 plus 0.25. When adding this, we first add the digits in the second decimal place. 8 plus 5 is 13. We put 3 and 1 is the remainder. We bring that 1 to the other side, to the first decimal place. Then 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. And the decimal point is kept at the same position. One's place digits are both 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. Therefore, the answer is 0.83. Third one, 2.88 plus 3.65. When adding these two decimal numbers, we first add the digits in the second decimal place. 8 plus 5 is 13. We put 3 and 1 is remaining. We bring that 1 the first decimal place, and when the digits in the first decimal place are added, it is 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. We put 5 and there is 1 remaining. We bring that remaining 1 to the ones place of the number. Then when the digits at the ones place are added, it is 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. And the decimal point is kept at the same position, then we write 6 at the ones place. Therefore, the answer is 6.53. Now let's simplify 21.5 plus 5.72. When adding these two decimal numbers, I will show you how two students have done it. The first method I am going to show you is a wrong method. He wrote 21.5 in this way and then he wrote 5.72 in this way. And then he added 5 plus 2 is 7 and 8 is also written here and the decimal point and 1, then 2 plus 5, 7. This answer is completely wrong. And the next student added those two decimal numbers correctly. That is, he wrote 21.5 in this way and then he wrote 5.72 in this way. Now you can see that the second student has written all the place values at the correct positions of the two decimal numbers. Second decimal place digits are written straightly downwards. First decimal place digits are written straightly downwards and the decimal point is written straightly downwards, and ones place digits and tens place digits are also written straightly downwards. Then when adding these two numbers, we first add the second decimal place numbers 2, then we add the first decimal place. 5 plus 7 is 12, 1 is remaining. We bring that 1 to the ones place of the number and we put the decimal point at the correct position, then 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 5 is 7, and then we write 2 at the tens place of the number. Therefore, the answer for this question is 27.22. Now let's learn how to subtract decimal numbers. The first question we are going to do is 0.7 minus 0.5. Here, when you write 0.7 as a fraction, it is 7 over 10. That is 7 parts out of 10 equal parts. It is colored in green. And then we can write 0.5 as 5 over 10. And then when you subtract 5 parts out of that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 2 parts are remaining out of 10 equal parts. Then we say that 0.7 minus 0.5 is 0.2. This is another way that we can subtract the numbers. First question, 0.7 minus 0.5. We write the numbers in this way. 0.7 minus sign, 0.5, and then we subtract the digits at the first decimal place first. 7 minus 5 is 2 and 0 minus 0 is 0 and the decimal point is kept at the same place. So the answer is 0.2. Now let's subtract 5.17 and 2.95. We first write the two numbers downward in this way. Now we have to subtract the digits in the second decimal place first. That is 7 minus 5 is 2. And then we have to add the digits in the first decimal place. Here we can see that we cannot subtract 9 from 1. Therefore, we borrow 1 from ones place of the number. And when it comes to the first decimal place, the number becomes 10. Then 10 when added with 1 is 11. 11 minus 9 is 2. Then we subtract 4 minus 2. It becomes 4 because we borrowed 1 from 5 earlier. Then 4 minus 2 becomes 2. And the decimal point is kept at the same position. Therefore, the answer for this question is 2.22. Next question is 5.25 minus 2.97. Let's first write the two numbers downwards. 5.25 minus 2.97. When subtracting the two numbers, we can clearly see that we cannot subtract 7 from 5. Therefore, we need to borrow 1 from the first decimal place. When 1 comes to the second decimal place, it becomes 10. Then 10 when added with 5 is 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. Now the number remaining at the first decimal place is not 2, it is 1. But we cannot subtract 9 from 1. Therefore, we borrow 1 from 1's place. When that 1 comes to the first decimal place of the number, it becomes 10. Now 10 plus 1 is 11. 11 minus 9 is 2. And then we have to subtract 4 minus 2. Now the first decimal place numbers are not 5 and 2. They are 4 and 2 because earlier we borrowed 1 from 5. 4 minus 2 is 2 and the decimal point is kept at the same position. Therefore, the answer is 2.28. Now you are able to compare decimal numbers, and now you are able to add and subtract decimal numbers with up to 2 decimal places. I hope you understood this lesson very well. Goodbye children. Thank you.